Christianity is one of the biggest and most well-known and most practiced religions in the world. It is something that has gone across the board, and this can actually be drawn down to how big it was in Europe and how much Europe has spread through their colonization, and that power has allowed for Christianity to reach every scope of the world. With this reach has come an intertwining of Christianity with a country's politics and its every other value of it. However, within politics, it at one point Christianity was the political aspect in Europe and many countries, and today it still holds a lot of value. Even in America, when we split it, it's not really split because you see Christianity and God everywhere in our system. So this goes on to the fact that crimes and sins are obviously going to overlap. They're going to overlap because, back when Christianity was the basis for, your politics, so, the sins that you saw in the Bible are going to be the same sins that are going to equate to crimes. For example, you have like murdering and stealing, and honestly, those are some of the biggest things that come from the Bible that we still follow on today. Those are big things that we don't allow and don't accept in most places of the world. However, there are some things where like the difference of both is not very much. There's not a big difference between crimes and sins in the Bible, and it's hard to dispute. And it's mostly comes down to like specific things within a culture or an identity. But overall, you see them overlapping, you see them connecting, and while they are separate, it's not as much as you would think or you would hope for if you are somebody who is an atheist and doesn't really believe in Christianity. However, this also comes from the fact of like we can't separate the two, and you also can't sit there and ask like you can't sit there and say, well, every crime is a sin and every sin is a crime, because if you do that, it takes away the basis of either. If you say that, first off, if you try to do this among a world basis, you're gonna have to try to separate the two, and it's very hard to say, well, how is everyone gonna agree what crime and what's a crime and what is a sin and what is this, because we have so many different variations of everything. It's very hard to do that. But if you end up trying to do that, if you sit there and you try to say that everything that we consider a crime is a sin, well, you have to go up and try to find basis for all of that. And while you can find basis with it within the Bible, and you can say, well, if it harms anybody, if it harms your neighbor, well, yes, this is a crime, and you can say that. I just feel like it loses scope of the whole thing, of what a sin means and what that means surrounding to God. It's not more so a factor in political concept, but just a faith concept. So overall, it's not a good idea to say they equate, because one is based on your faith and based on how someone believes in it, and the other one is based on what we try to and how we try to handle politics today and how we try to have a separation in it. So overall, like, while they are connected and they will always be connected, I think it is best to try to not push them together and try to not elude them as the same thing, because they aren't.